Alright guys, I hope you guys are doing well. You can see two swans over there, and to the right you can see a dark area. They've been nesting in there, so there could be some babies this spring here from those swans there. You can see Dayton is right here,
still
climbing.
From last time.
Still climbing from the last time apparently. And
I just need to get up on top of here and just stump and I'll have a good resting area.
alright. Alright.
It takes me so long to get this high.
Alright. He's a good climber there. And you kids, keep your spirits up. Keep looking at AP stuff if you're in the AP class. But guys, here we go. We're going to look at the American system. So get a good shot of it so you can hit pause on YouTube if you need to. But guys, the American system. So this is like a policy platform, like a whole list of issues. Policy platform argued about, especially in the 1820s, 1830s. And even people are still kind of like talking for much of it throughout the 1800s. Maybe not under this name. Under this name, 1820s, 1830s. But the fact of the matter is Henry Clay is the biggest supporter of this. In fact, a lot of people say Henry Clay's American system. Now, people had actually argued for very similar policies under different names previously, but the Whig Party, actually forms in large part to oppose Andrew Jackson. Remember, under the president James Monroe, there had been this era of good feelings, one-party rule, and everyone's supposed to try to get along and you try to kind of push aside a lot of controversial issues for the harmony of America. And so then you look at this, is then it starts to rift, and you start to get back into the two-party system. The Whigs actually create their name to specifically target Andrew Jackson. There had been a party in Great Britain called the Whigs that opposed monarchy rule. And so the Whigs here, when they name themselves the Whigs, this new party that gets created, by the way, a lot of them are Federalists. Remember, the Federalist Party dies, but that doesn't mean their ideas die. And a lot of old Federalists eventually become the Whigs after this one-party rule during this era of good feelings, and they call themselves the Whigs because this British party opposed monarchy rule. What they're saying is Andrew Jackson's acting like King Andrew the First, and there's a lot of cartoons that portray Andrew Jackson as a king. But so the Whigs are the biggest supporter of this American system. Henry Clay is the biggest supporter, individual supporter of the American system. And this American system is opposed by James Monroe, opposed by Andrew Jackson, opposed by the Democratic Party at this time. And so what's the whole point of this American system? It's to promote American self-reliance away from Europe. So America doesn't have to rely on Europe. Because look, if we're getting all of our manufactured goods, or most of our manufactured goods from Europe, then we have to basically rely on them, and there's a danger in that. There's a real threat. There's a real threat in that.
I'm not gonna completely stop climbing. I'm just gonna be on the tree. I'm just gonna be low so you can get on the tree.
Some people today are talking about how maybe we're over-reliant on China for goods, and then you get like this COVID-19 outbreak and supply chains break down and so forth. It's kind of a similar thing, that we're too reliant on Europe for manufactured goods. We need to manufacture our own goods. Now, here are the main premises. Here are the main premises. Look, tariffs. These are taxes on imported goods. So when goods that are produced in other countries come in, especially manufactured goods, we tax them. And this is to help America's young, growing industry. The American industry, Alice, don't climb up at the same time he is. If he falls, he's going to flatten you. And so, guys, so the fact of the matter is, American industry, we're starting off young. We don't have as much, Britain's been producing. They're the first. England's the first industrial country on earth. They've been producing things for a while. They know how to do it. They already have factories up and running. It's expensive to get factories up and running, and then to figure out how to do it. And we're kind of playing behind. We're kind of playing catch up. Britain has also been, and other European countries have been building roads, canals, and bridges, especially the roads and bridges, much, much longer than we have in America. So the fact of the matter is, it's harder to start up a lot of these industries in America to some extent. So these tariffs make foreign goods more expensive, so Americans will buy American, which will help spur the American industry forward. The second part is you're going to do internal improvements. The money from the tariffs, these taxes on imported goods, are going to fund internal improvements. Internal improvements, these are things like roads, bridges, canals. And so basically, Henry Clay's arguing that once these roads, canals, and bridges get up, it's going to help factories. It's going to help the self-reliance. So this is going to help factories and American manufacturing. This is also going to help American manufacturing because it's going to be easier to travel, easier to get raw materials into manufacturing centers, easier to get manufactured goods out to market. Remember, much of America in the 1820s, 1830s, 1840s is rural, out in the middle of nowhere. It's hard getting around the country. And these roads, bridges, canals are going to be a great way. Remember, most of the roads back then are just dirt, and it's loose dirt, and when it rains, it's muddy, and you get stuck, and your buggy gets broken down. The third part is a national bank. And this national bank's going to help manage a lot of these money transactions, create a stable currency, promote businesses, give out business loans, help people get started who are trying to create manufacturing. So you can see how all of these, especially the stable currency part, but you can see how all three of these are kind of helping America become less reliant on Europe, especially with manufacturing, build up America's manufacturing center. And this is a lesser known one and not as big of a key part, but support revolutions in Latin America. If people are trying to free themselves from European powers, throw off the European monarchy, whatever one they're under, and no longer be a colony, then America should support it. This was more controversial and then was kind of dropped in favor of these ones because couldn't this bring us into a war with a Britain or a France or a Spain if we're supporting revolutions in their colonies? So this is probably the most controversial one of the time.
Dad, can I keep going higher?
That's high enough, bud.
Oh man, I really wanted to get up there.
That's high enough for today, buddy. You're doing really good. Now, guys, now some of you guys might be asking questions. You okay, bud?
Yeah. Dan, do you want to go on the moon?
You okay?
Yeah. I just slided right down.
Okay.
Like I didn't really fall. I was just like sliding down like.
Okay.
Really fast.
All right. All right.
He's better than me.
What? What'd you say? Now, guys, so a lot of you might be saying, well, how does this play into the Krupp bargain? Remember the famous 1824 election. Andrew Jackson's first time running for president, he loses. He has a plurality, not a majority, but plurality means more than anyone else, but not a majority. He has a plurality of the popular vote, Andrew Jackson does, a plurality of the Electoral College vote, but he doesn't have a majority in the Electoral College, so it goes to the House. And John Quincy Adams ends up winning. Henry Clay, who was one of the four candidates, as Speaker of the House at the time, throws all the support behind John Quincy Adams. John Quincy Adams ends up becoming the president. Democrats and Andrew Jackson scream corrupt bargain because right after John Quincy Adams becomes president, Henry Clay, who threw all of his support behind him, who's very influential in the House, is made Secretary of State, which was considered the most prestigious position back then. And so the fact of the matter is, some people say there was this corrupt bargain. No evidence has ever come up. Some historians say, wait a minute, there didn't need to be a corrupt bargain. Henry Clay supported the American system. John Quincy Adams supported the American system. Is it any surprise that he wouldn't throw his weight behind Andrew Jackson, who opposes the American system in support of somebody who does support the American system. Some of you might be thinking, how does this play into previous party politics or party politics following this era? Well, the Whigs are, a lot of them, I had already said this, were former Federalists. And the Federalists supported taxes, whereas the Democrats didn't. They supported more things like internal improvements. They supported a national bank. This is very much, at least these top three ones, these are very, very much right in line with federal policies, Federalist Party politics, right off the bat. And the Democrats oppose it under the Federalists. They're going to oppose it under the Whigs. And the fact of the matter is, guys, you also have this politics afterwards. For example, 1854, you have the modern Republican Party formed. And they basically adopt a lot of this, tariffs to support businesses. Now, the Republican Party, the modern Republican Party in 1854, their big issue really is stop the expansion of slavery, not end slavery, not abolish, not abolitionists. Some of them are, but their key party platform in 1854 is to stop the expansion of slavery, no new slave states, no new slave territories. But they also adopt a lot of these old Whig positions. Tariffs, let's support American business, factory growth. Hey, let's fund internal improvements. Abraham Lincoln, the first Republican president, had been a huge supporter of internal improvements. In fact, Henry Clay is the person who inspired Lincoln to become a politician. Lincoln even once went to go hear Henry Clay speak. He was a big Henry Clay fan. And growing up, and huge. And Lincoln was known to be a very partisan Whig as a young man growing up before the Republican Party existed. And so this national banking, the Democrats in the 1800s has always been suspicious of it, like a national banking system. And so, but the fact of the matter is, you can kind of see like the Federalists, after they die, the Whigs end up getting formed, not right after they die, but you know, a few years after the fact. And the Whigs adopt a lot of those old Federalist positions. And the modern Republican Party, formed in 1854, in the second half of the 1800s, a lot of their positions look very much in tune with the Whig platform, this American system platform. And so this is the American system. Guys, leave comments if there's any questions in the comment section. I'll try to answer them. And guys, have a good day. Keep your spirits up. Maybe I'll keep you guys in tune with what the swans are doing over there. You see them laying down a lot. And oh, there's a cat. And guys, have a good day. Study if you can. Stay out of trouble if you can.